Glad to be back home to rejoin their villages and their families, the released enslaved children came ready to leave their machetes, guns and years of fighting behind. The 357 were freed in the town of Bambari. They were given medical screenings and efforts are underway to trace their families. Many of them joined the army at a very early age.
I
want to thank the people who took us and brought us here because we don't even want to stay in the army. The army is too hard.
I will give up the Seleka's child soldier work so that I can find something else. Go back to my neighborhood and start a small business, buying and selling things, and keep that as my only occupation.
Their release comes after 10 armed groups signed a peace accord last week. The pact required them to disarm and potentially face justice for war crimes.
I think the agreement was reached within the framework of the Bangui Forum, as you know, which was meant to bring about peace, reconciliation, social cohesion. And I think it's in this mood that we have managed to bring together all the 10 armed groups to get this commitment of releasing children and not recruiting them anymore.
But some armed groups feel the pact failed to meet their expectations.
We reject the findings of the final report from the forum because our grievances were not taken into account, even though our grievances were clearly laid out.
The rebels had called for the release of some of their members and a delay in elections, but analysts say that would only deepen the crisis. They now remain skeptical on whether the agreement can hold.
One of the things that the Bangui Forum tried to do was to convince all the players that elections, which are due to be held no later than August this year, should be postponed till sometime at the end of the year. Frankly, I think if we postpone the elections until the end of the year, all that's going to mean is 6 months from now we're going to say we're still not ready. So let's have the elections, even if they're flawed, so we can move beyond this transitional phase so that we can have at least some sort of administration in place that actually has a mandate to build a country.
Violence broke out in the historically volatile country in March 2013 when mostly Muslim Seleka rebels seized power. Sectarian clashes then followed, dividing the country along religious lines. Thousands of people are thought to have died. More than 1 million have been displaced. Mahia Mutua, CCTV.